supporting economic development in Ethiopia is very important. We forget that British Columbia, I was born in 1964, and in that time, in the 1960s and the 1970s, British Columbia built some of the dams that have made BC Hydro a very important Crown Corporation of British Columbia. So we built a dam on the Peace River, and we built a series of dams on the Columbia River. And it in fact has a lot of comparisons with what's happening in Ethiopia right now. Because the Columbia River is a shared river between Canada and the United States. And so we required an international agreement to manage the Columbia River and to produce electricity in Canada and in the United States. And one of the reasons why British Columbia has been a prosperous province for a long time was that we worked out those agreements both in trade of electricity and in management of riparian issues and river issues between Canada and the United States. And so we had a policy of developing hydroelectric power on the Columbia River and on the Peace River in British Columbia, and we decided not to develop hydroelectric power on the Fraser River because it's an important fishery and because that was a decision the people in BC was, that we were going to develop the Peace, develop the Columbia, but not develop the Fraser River. In Ethiopia, you have an extraordinary project right now, which is coming on in 2018. And there is, I think, a lot for Ethiopia to learn from the experience here in British Columbia in terms of managing river systems and managing that power and managing the distribution of that power. And it's hopeful, I think, that in the coming years that we in Canada, but here in British Columbia as well, can work with Ethiopia and the people who are Canadians from Ethiopia and their children and their role in the community here, that we can build a strong relationship around energy issues between Canada and Ethiopia, and also build economic development in Ethiopia. It's an extraordinary thing, and there are real challenges, as you know, with a project where you have an extraordinary amount of electricity, but real transmission and distribution challenges in getting that electricity to market. We have the same problems in British Columbia. Our dams are a long way from Vancouver. In fact, farther, there's a longer distance between the Bennett Dam and where we sit today than there is across the entire country of Ethiopia. These are long challenges, and the same challenges will exist when this dam, when the Renaissance Dam comes online in Ethiopia, because you have to get that electricity to market, and the transmission isn't there yet. And so there's lots of issues to work on together. But I think it's an extraordinarily positive thing for all of us today to talk about how we build economic development around our world and reduce inequality. Because unequal access to energy and electricity is one of the reasons there is such profound inequality in our world. And so changing that, giving people self-determination and power over their own economic future, whether it's in Ethiopia or in Canada, is something I think that we share together and we need to work together on. So I want to thank you for inviting me tonight. Thank you for such a wonderful dinner. And thank you for the work that you're doing in building the relationship between British Columbia, Canada, and Ethiopia, and the contribution you're making to Canadian life in all that you do every day in the community. So thank you for having me here today. Thank you very much.